Welcome back. We are the True Crime and Wine couple, Mary and Pete, and we have my dog Guapito joining us today because otherwise he's going to bark the whole time, so Guapito's with us too. And we are going to talk about a Delphi murder update. So a few days ago on Court TV, Barbara McDonald came out and she talked about the Delphi murders. And she specifically spoke about the bullet. Okay, so the bullet basically in the probable cause affidavit is the one piece of concrete evidence they have against Richard Allen. Because the evidence they have is mostly circumstantial. So he put himself on the bridge that day. That's evidence, which to me is crazy, but believe it or not, that's evidence. Then they have the eyewitness testimony. You know, first it was a muddy man, then it was a muddy and bloody man. And if you look at the probable cause affidavit, you really can't tell which is which, right? It changes.
No, it almost seems like they're describing three different people.
The eyewitness testimony is just, it's not corroborated by each witness. Every witness basically has said something different, right? So now it comes out that the bullet that they did find, which was an unspent round. So basically what they said is you rack the bullet and it didn't shoot, but it racked and then it popped out, right?
It got ejected,
Then it got ejected, right, okay.
And that apparently leaves markings on the bullet.
Leaves markings on the bullet. But according to what the forensic guy said, if it's shot out of the gun, it's so much more concrete, right? Conclusive evidence, right? Now we come to find out that the bullet was found after the crime scene had been secured and processed, and then it was opened, and then it was resecured. Okay, so resecured. I teach forensics. There is no resecuring a crime scene. It's compromised. If it was secured and they processed it and then they opened it up again and resecured it, you don't resecure a crime scene.
No.
Now, maybe with the evidence they could tell. You know, I was speaking to my friend she's a chemistry and forensics teacher too, and she said that maybe they'll be able to tell something with like how the bullet's buried, the time of year. Then somebody else brought up the fact that this was interesting, that why wasn't the ground frozen that time of year? Now, so I went back and I checked the Delphi weather for that week. Now we know that February 13th was an unseasonably warm day, and that's why the girls went to the Monon High Bridge. And the week before, the weather was above freezing. But only that one day, again, I checked for the year, obviously, and only that one day seemed to be really, really warm. And the days before were above freezing, but if the ground was frozen before that, I don't know how it would have thawed that quickly. You know what I mean? I guess it could thaw in a day or two, right?
It doesn't take much. Yeah.
So the ground probably was not frozen based on what I could glean from looking up the
and they said
the February weather.
Was buried, right?
It was buried. Yes, they said under what, dirt? Dirt, right? So they'll have to test that too, because then they'll be certain. They'll have to test like the corrosion on it, the dirt.
Well, that's
what
that's what that bullet expert said.
That ballistics expert said, right?
Yeah.
Another thing too is, I know this from teaching forensics, and I tell my students this: ballistics are not real. They don't really stand up well in court. And eyewitness testimony in court is basically nothing. I mean, unless it's like, unless the witness was the person you committed the crime against or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's okay, but these people were just, hanging out there and saw a dude. You know what I mean? So I find that very interesting. Oh, whoopsie. We'll have to re-secure the scene. There's no such thing. So, what do you think?
No, I think once that crime scene was unsecured, that was it. Game over. All the evidence that they collected was collected, and then anything after that is compromised. That bullet could have been there all along. It could have showed up after they unsecured the crime scene. We don't know. Now, the ballistics expert did say that they would be able to check for the corrosion.
Right.
They should be able to tell how long the bullet was exposed to the elements.
Right, that they should be able to tell you. Now on on Court TV, Barbara McDonald said it was 3 days when they resecured it. But now on Reddit, and I know you can't believe everything you read, and I don't want to speculate, but Reddit is saying it was almost 3 weeks. And with all the other junk going on in this case, all the other crap going on in this case, I wouldn't be surprised if it was that long.
That actually makes more sense. 3 weeks as opposed to 3 days.
3 days, right.
Like,
because they
why
would have
would-
had to conduct their interviews and
Yeah,
everything,
exactly.
right?
So the 3 weeks actually makes more sense than 3 days.
So yeah, so then I would have to, I didn't project, I only projected the week before the girls were murdered weather-wise. I'd have to check the rest of the weather. But it looked like it was a pretty warm, like it was pretty much, there were only a few days in that February leading up to it that were, it even reached below freezing at any point
Right.
during the day. And then the highs were above freezing.
Yeah.
So I found that really interesting. And that's their, according to the probable cause affidavit and what we know, obviously we don't know everything because they don't tell us everything and they don't play all their cards, but that's your big evidence you have, and you have it from a crime scene that you resecured, which isn't even a thing. I know from doing labs and in forensics, we had one with the victim and blood, and it was like a fake victim, it was like a blow up doll, and it was, we had a bloody knife, we make fake blood, the whole shebang, and believe it or not, 5 seconds it took me to step on the victim accidentally and track all the blood prints through my classroom. So if I could do that in only 5 seconds, imagine what could happen in 3 weeks and 2 days or however many days
Right.
it was processed. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that?
It goes back to my original thought that bullet was there all along.
How to get there though?
The dude lives there. If he has a gun, he could have been out doing anything.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm assuming you could shoot out there.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Yeah.
can.
If nobody catches you, I guess you can do whatever you want,
Well, it's
right?
private property, right?
It's isn't it like a state park type of thing?
Oh, it's not Ron Logan's property?
Oh, the girls were found on Ron Logan's property. We don't know. Oh, yeah, the bullet was found between the girls. Correct.
Yeah.
That's Ron Logan's property. Duh. Okay, dummy me.
Right.
So there you go.
I'm thinking about the whatever, but
Right.
the ballistic expert even said, though, that even the bullets that are fired through a gun are questionable
Iffy.
in terms of the ballistics,
Right.
but in terms of them having being just the ejection marks, I guarantee you that the defense can come up with 20 different guns that make the same mark.
A lot of the podcasters, a lot of the reports, everything's saying that this is never going to stand up.
No. Well, my thought all along was that bullet was there long before the girls were ever there.
You think?
That's what I think, and we don't know if it's his gun or somebody else's gun. We have no idea.
Right.
But I think that bullet was there well before the girls were ever there.
And if it was 3 weeks, it could have been planted. I'm
not with the planting part.
You're
of it.
not with the planting
because
part, okay.
because it doesn't make any sense.
That's
because
true.
how would they plant something to frame Richard Allen in 2013
Right.
and then arrest him 27, whatever it was, 2017.
He was arrested. It was a year and a half ago. So he was arrested in 2022.
Right. So they're going to plant a bullet 6 years ago? No.
I also found this interesting. Now, Patrick Westphal, who's one of the main suspects and the main player, so it's like Patrick Westphal, Brad Holder, Elvis. I don't remember Elvis's last name. Pete is all over Elvis being the guy. They did an interview with Patrick Westphal, and he said he had no clue who that Richard Allen was.
No, nothing links Richard Allen to anything. He's not linked to any of the other players. He's not linked to the girls.
They're saying he's not linked to Kegan and Tony Klein. They're
No.
saying there's no link there. So what the heck? Where'd they get this dude? Like, and
He
then
was the
how'd
only
they go-
idiot to actually
Put
say,
himself
I
there.
was there. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And that's just crazy to me that's evidence. Like, he put himself there. That's insane, but that is powerful evidence.
And you know what the other insane part of it is?
Yeah.
So this guy Richard Allen gets interviewed by some forest ranger dude
Right.
outside of a grocery
Yes.
store. They still have that, but yet they did all these interviews And all of that got erased.
Yes, then there, and also when
That's
Richard Allen
awful
was
freaking
interviewed,
convenient.
as his last name, they put the street he lived on.
Yeah.
So that was the mix-up there, because we found that out yesterday,
it was-
right?
I don't know. The more that you learn, the more you don't know.
The more I go down, yes, the more I find out, the more questions I have. Finding things out does not leave me with knowledge, it leaves me with more questions and more craziness and more insanity making that I drive myself crazy with every day. Because this is just, to me, the craziest thing out there. This case is just...
And then we found out today that Patrick Westfall was actually interviewed
Yes.
and did a polygraph.
Well, he didn't
For
say
4.5
polygraph, but he said they questioned me for 4.5
No,
hours.
he said.
Oh, he said polygraph?
I
I didn't
almost
think he said
positive
that.
he s-
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He said a lie detector test
Okay.
for 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours, yeah.
And he was the one that supposedly, is he the one that had to borrow the truck from the girlfriend, and when he returned it, it was all bloody?
That is Patrick, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, that is Patrick, yes. Right.
And then they took his DNA. Again. For like the third time.
Now, this is all out of Patrick's mouth. This is
Yeah.
not, this is
just coming
his
from him.
interview. This is not
Right.
this is not, we can't confirm this. This is in his own words.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of information from outside.
As you have to do with Delphi, because there's nothing concrete out there, and this thing the trial should be pretty much, I think, what is it going to be, a 6-week trial? So it should have almost been over. It should have been 4
And
weeks in. We
yeah.
should be 4 weeks into the trial right now.
Right.
It should have been done by the end of February. So, based on how little they've given us and all the crazy making that's gone on between the judge and the defense, and all the podcasters are fighting each other. There was just a thing where one guy put out something accusing another guy of doing terrible stuff to his kids. I mean, it's insane. Like, I don't, there's so much drama. And these podcasters there's all the problems with the murder sheet, like all the hate for them, and then there's all this back and forth. Now, this is the first time that Court TV basically, their narrative was he's guilty, and they always interviewed the murder sheet. That was basically how Court TV went down. This is the first, when they interviewed Labredo,
yeah.
that was the first time they started giving us a different narrative, and they started giving us different people. And now they have, this Barbie, and then he hosts the Body Bags podcast, the guy that they interviewed, he's a forensics guy. So now they have him on, and he's probably one of the more knowledgeable people because everybody else is just kind of a podcaster, right?
Yeah.
Well, they've had Bob Mata on, who actually is, he's a lawyer, and he does go from Defense Diaries. We'll plug these people. He does go to like the court dates and all that stuff. So, and Kevin Greenlee from the Murder Sheet is licensed to practice in the state of Indiana. So so they'll have them on too. And she claims she's a journalist. I could basically call myself a journalist too. But anyway,
Yes.
That's a whole different story. So it's just crazy making. And it's always like, what's the next thing that's going to come up? You know what I mean?
Well, every day there's something new. Now, I was just thinking about it with this Patrick Westfall. In his interview, he did say, they asked me for my DNA again. Mm-hmm. So apparently he had it on record because he was a veteran.
Right.
He was an Iraq
Yes.
veteran. He has it on record because he's a felon. They asked him for it once, and then they asked him for it again recently. And the only reason it just popped in my head that it was recent is because he said, "Why are you taking my DNA if you have Richard Allen in custody?"
Right. Right,
Which,
and he said,
in his mind, he's thinking, okay, so they may have some DNA evidence, and Richard Allen's DNA is not matching.
Right, and from what they put out there is no DNA.
Yeah,
that is never listed as the
They
evidence.
said originally he told him that they told him that there was no DNA.
There was no DNA, right?
But yet now they're asking him for more DNA. So
now
who
sometimes
knows?
they'll do that just to have it. You know what I mean? But still.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
originally, but now that I'm thinking about it, this had to be within the past year because he said, "Why are you asking for mine if you already have Richard Allen in jail?"
Right. And so to him, that meant that they were looking for more people,
Right.
according to Patrick. That's what
Exactly.
he thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's his own words. That's what an interview with him. We're not making stuff up.
No,
he
that was
said
that
it
was
himself.
actually him. Yeah.
We're directly quoting him, from his own interview that we listened to. So, so what do you think? Richard Allen, innocent or guilty?
I don't know if he's innocent. I don't know.
But you don't think he's the only guilty?
He's
right?
definitely not the only party, and at this point, they don't have any evidence against him.
That we know of. Now remember, they hold stuff all the time. You know what I mean?
They do, but wouldn't by now, and I know that they have been horrible about turning stuff
Yes.
over to the defense. They have not done well with that. They've been holding stuff back. But Libredo, the former, the replacement attorney who got replaced again,
Okay.
he is so confident that Richard Allen is innocent. Like not guilty, innocent.
And every account says that Brad Baldwin and Rosie feel the same way. They said they would not be fighting. They offered to take the case pro bono.
Right.
But
I'm thinking that Libredo had enough time between October and January
right.
to look at the evidence that was against Richard Allen. If there was DNA evidence in there, if there was fingerprint evidence, if there was actual forensic evidence in that discovery, he would know about it and he wouldn't be so. He's innocent. This
Right.
man did not do anything. And he said he's represented over 100 murder cases, and this is one of the few times he has ever been like, this dude.
Convinced of
Yeah.
the suspect's innocence.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but you know my theory on the whole thing.
Yes, we know. Something's fishy in Delphi. So my brain wants to believe that they have to have more, or they could not be treating this man like this. That is what my empathic brain tells me. My rational brain tells me they don't have diddly squat, and what the heck are they doing? Another thing is, the public is supposed to know what the heck's going on. With all these gag orders and all these no
we're not.
cameras and all that.
You know I disagree with that.
Well,
We have no right to know anything.
But that's the law. The public has a right to know.
And you'll know at trial.
Yes, and we'll find out at trial, right? If it ever goes
I
to trial.
understand that, but we have no right to
These
know
things
anything
don't
at this
even
point.
go to trial anymore. They just go, like, look at Kohlberger. That's just going around and around, and they file this, and they file that, and they file this, and they file that. Like, it's a wonder to me things ever go to trial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I said, my brain wants to believe there's something. They've got more, and that they're treating this man like absolute crap, in my opinion, inhumanely. I mean, Chris Watts, who admitted to killing his pregnant wife and 2 children, isn't even locked down 24 hours a day. And he admitted to it, and was found guilty because he admitted to it. This poor man.
I mean, there are
done?
serial killers that have had way better time in jail than this dude has.
Well, look at Kohlberger. Brian Kohlberger is living large.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
high off the hog over there in prison. He's got
Well,
his
I'm
fan
talking
girls.
convicted serial killers.
Yeah, no. Believe me, Gacy had a decent deal in prison, and See, and that's the thing. You plead guilty, you live, and you get a decent deal. And you plead innocent, you get put to death. You get put to death, or you get really crappy. The opposite's true. If you plead guilty, you get a good deal. I said it right. And if
Yeah,
you
you
plead
did say it
innocent,
right.
yeah. It's getting late. It's a Thursday. I'm teacher tired. So yeah, I really hope there's more out there that we don't know.
And there's all this talk about conspiracy theories, and believe me, I'm down with a good conspiracy theory. What doesn't make sense to me, though, I mean, I'm all on board with a conspiracy theory, that somehow law enforcement is tied up in this in terms of covering it up. Because they brought all those people in right at the beginning of the investigation, the Ron Logan, the Elvis,
Patrick.
and what was that other guy's name?
Brad Holder.
Brad Holder.
Right.
So they brought all those in almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like within a day of the murders, they're interviewing these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why? Why would they focus on them right away?
Mm-hmm.
First of all. Then they just cleared them immediately. So that's where my conspiracy brain goes.
You know what else was strange too? The FBI was on the case, then the FBI left and the U.S. Marshals came. What the heck's up with that, right?
And then there was that professor for the Odinism,
Yeah.
because the
They lost
FBI brought up the whole Odinism theory.
Yeah.
Like this whole Odinism thing. This is not the defense's theory. This is they're piggybacking on law enforcement's theory at the very beginning. But getting back to the conspiracy, this is where I lose it. So it all makes sense. Okay, there's a conspiracy. Law enforcement is covering up for Elvis, for Patrick, for Ron Logan.
For somebody we don't know.
For Brad Holder. So all these people, they either have something on law enforcement's tied up with them, something. Okay, so fine. That's a conspiracy. That works. Now we're going to go down the road 6 years later. If that were the case, why bring it up again? It was a cold case.
Right.
So if law enforcement, and it's the same law enforcement officials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
sure,
if there was a conspiracy at the beginning, why would they want to reopen it? Why not just keep it cold and let it die? But they brought it up again.
I know why they want to reopen
Well,
it.
I know what the theory is that this guy was running for re-election and he wanted to have an arrest. He needed something big. That's fine. Do something else. If you are actually involved with a cover-up, why are you going to draw attention to it? And the same with the prison guards. That's the other one I don't understand. It's like if they are the Odinists, if they are all connected, why are you drawing attention to yourself? If you're trying to keep
They
this...
admitted it. They
I know.
admitted it.
I know that's the part that doesn't make sense.
And then
because if it was
Lobredo,
a true conspiracy, they're going to want to keep it under wraps.
and then Lobredo said Gull ordered them to stop wearing the Odin patches.
Well,
so
Gull
they
didn't do it. The warden did, or the state did, or
Well,
somebody
no, Gull
did.
told Gull told the warden who told them stop wearing them, and then they tattooed themselves.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you what. I don't usually believe in conspiracy theories, but if ever a conspiracy theory there was, Delphi is one. because of everything. It's insane.
So my theory is that Keegan Kline lured the girls there. Number one.
through the
So that's-
through the
the
Anthony
catfish.
Shots catfishing
Right.
account, correct?
So that's how he's involved.
Okay.
And then it's Ron Logan's property, so that's where Ron Logan gets involved. And then Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, and Elvis. They are the three that committed the murders.
Okay.
All right, so, and it makes sense too, because if you look at the PCA, and if you really look at it, there are 3 or 4 witnesses, right?
Yes, I think 4. Yeah.
They all describe somebody different.
Yes, they do.
But it would make sense if they're describing somebody different if they actually did see different people.
True.
So if there were actually 3 different people there,
True.
that's how those descriptions could be different. So I'm convinced that those 3 are the ones that committed the murders. I think Richard Allen may have been there. I don't think he was involved, or at least there's no evidence of him being involved. And until there is, I'm convinced that he had nothing to do with it. Elvis has confessed multiple times that he did this. He confessed that he spit on the bodies.
Yes, he did.
He confessed to one of his sisters.
Which would make sense for the DNA.
Which would make sense for the DNA. And he actually said to a law enforcement officer, if you find spit on a body, can that be traced back to me? He said that to a cop. The cop took that back to the sheriff. They never followed up on it.
Now, we have to remember too that Elvis is he's very limited
I understand that.
intellectually. Okay, just, yeah,
I
we
understand
need to
that.
throw that out there.
Right.
Okay.
But then he confessed to his sister.
Yes, he did.
His sister took a polygraph. His sister passed the polygraph. Then Mary just showed me evidence today, and it's not connected to this case, but it's connected to a creeper in some black suburban who was creeping on girls in the Indiana area. They caught him on a CCTV feed from somewhere, and it resembled Elvis. So this dude was out there trying to hijack women.
I sent him
Girls.
tons of videos on Delphi, and guess what? If it involves Elvis, he'll watch it. Anything else, he just
I've been zeroed in on Elvis. From
He's
the
all
very
about
start.
Elvis. I'm like, this is about Elvis. I should probably just send you videos and be like, this is about Elvis, and then
Yeah.
he'll watch it for like 20 minutes and be like, there's no Elvis mentioned in here. Yeah, if I send him anything Elvis, he's down.
There's just so much that, and I just don't know where to go with it at this point, because it leads to conspiracy. It leads to being completely inept, unprofessional, just totally mangling the case. And then when you get into, okay, so what was up with that initial judge? That initial judge, I don't remember what his name was.
Judge Diener.
Judge Diener. All right, we're going to send Elvis to the state maximum security prison. We're going to do that
Richard
today.
Allen, you mean?
What did I say?
You said Elvis.
Oh, not Elvis.
He has Elvis on the brain.
We're going to send Richard Allen to the maximum security prison, and then I'm going to step down. I'm out of here. I can't deal with this. This is too much. So then it goes to Judge Gull, who has obviously, I mean, to anybody who is watching it even a little bit, you can tell she is siding with the prosecution.
Absolutely.
She gives everything to them and gives nothing to the defense. So how does she tie into that? How does this prosecutor tie into this? The prosecutor's doing all sorts of weird, unethical things.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to, if it's a conspiracy involving law enforcement, why are they doing this? You want to be under the radar. You don't want to draw attention to yourself.
Another thing I don't get is in the Delphi case, all the families were gagged. And in the Koberger case, everybody but the families were gagged. So do the families know something? I don't know. The bottom line is this somebody's got to step up and do the right thing, and those girls need justice. You know what I mean? And and I can't, these poor families, and I know I've said this before, but I would just be so upset if this was they were 13 and 14. They were girls in middle school, okay? Like, I just can't even imagine if all this crap was going down and this was Libby lived with her grandmother, so, and this was my granddaughter, or this was my daughter, or this was my niece, or this was even my student, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like, had I even been their teacher? It's just not right, Somebody needs to step up and do the right thing. Somebody's got to step up and be the hero here, and nobody is. Sadly, nobody is. And Richard Allen, if he didn't do it, he's taken the fall for everybody's corruption, everybody's sins, everybody's ineptitude, everything, and it's just not right,
No.
And I'm not convinced. I don't know who's. I just hope, like I said, I hope there's something else. And then they even said about Richard Allen confessing. Well, yeah, I mean, if I was locked down for 23 hours a day, and they said they're only letting him take a shower, once a week, giving him. I mean, yeah, you'd go crazy and confess too,
Well, and you can also trace that confession back to he was coerced.
He was coerced, yeah,
or threatened.
Yeah. Now it was a multitude of times, and it was to his his mother and his wife. And now another thing. Now they've moved him, and where they've moved him, he can't get visitors. He was able to get visitors at his at the other prison at
The lawyers can't even meet with him.
the lawyers can't even meet.
They have to meet with him 6 feet away. He's in like this kitchen type thing with a door that has a little slot. So they're like trying to talk to this dude through this slot,
Right.
trying to show him stuff. He's shackled. He can't sign anything.
They can't even.
It's ridiculous.
Unless he did it. I mean, unless they know something we don't know, in which case, then, throw the book at them. I agree, but I'm sorry, it's America. When they taught me in history, innocent until proven guilty, and if this was your loved one who, you believed in their innocence and they hadn't been proved, how would you feel?
Right.
And the trial is about Richard Allen. It's the trial is not about the girls. If he's convicted, it'll be about the girls because that's their justice, And is there ever really justice? No, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I do better, Delphi. And if anybody knows anything, or we really welcome your comments. Sadly, Delphi doesn't seem to get the views. To us, it's the most intriguing case out there.
It really is.
And I'm just shocked by, how many podcasters with millions and millions of followers, with millions and millions of views, they'll get, maybe a couple hundred. If you get a couple thousand on Delphi, that's big.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know why there's not Now, my students are totally intrigued with it. I've told them everything, and they're enraged. They're like, well, why? Well, how? I can't even answer their questions because it's just so crazy. It's just nuts. So, do better, Delphi.
Yes, definitely.
Well, not even Delphi, but do better, Gull and company, and the prosecutor and law enforcement. This isn't right. It's time to do the right thing for these poor girls.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
No, I think we covered it.
And as far as our wine, we're piggybacking on our last video we filmed. So once again, this is
it's a Riesling from Clover Hill Vineyards, right outside of Lehigh Valley. They have some excellent wines. This Riesling, my daughter bought us for Christmas, is a little sweet.
It's very sweet. Yeah, it's a sweet Riesling. After you drink it a little while, it kind of get past the sweet.
Kind of.
Yeah. We started drinking sweet wine. No hating on sweet wine. If you like sweet wine, you go.
Go for it. Absolutely.
And we'll probably talk more about Delphi. We'll be following the case. Like I said, please please subscribe. Please give us comments. They only make us better. We're trying to get more content out there. We got a lot of competition, but we're fighting a good fight here. So please subscribe, and like I said, comment. We love to hear your comments. And Guapito's with us. This is my Pito. It's my baby, one of my babies. So he's with us today. So if you like cute dogs, there's my Pito. Pete's not a fan.
Not a fan at all. No.
We are the True Crime and Wine Couple, and we'll see you in the next video.